Howdy all you folks there in Facebook land. It's Michael Kewen here with Access Basement Systems. Wanted to take a minute to discuss this winter season that we're having and how it might be affecting your foundation. It's been a very weird year so far with the warmth and then freezing cold and then extremely freezing cold and then snow and then heavy rain and everything else that's been going on. It's been a very strange season, and it's certainly been an interesting season for foundations. Wanted to take a minute to explain some of the things that might be going on with your foundation and the characteristics. Number one, the characteristic of water and freezing and thawing. We all know that, you know, if you take a glass of water and stick it in your freezer, you know what's going to happen. The water's going to freeze, it's going to expand, and it's going to crack the glass. Well, water has that same characteristic no matter where it's freezing. So if it's underground and it freezes, it expands the soil with it and can cause pressure that way. So the thing to understand is that your basement's a hole in the ground. And that hole in the ground, when it fills up with water, which all of them do, you can't have a hole in the ground no matter how you backfill it, it's going to fill up with water. When that water freezes, it expands and can cause cracks. And the most common cracks that you'll see are going to be, initially anyway, are your what's called a freeze line crack. And generally, you'll see that in your concrete block walls the easiest. It'll be about 3 foot down on the inside of the wall in your basement where you can see it, about 3 foot down from where the grade level is outside. That's your freeze line. That means the ground from surface down 3 foot will freeze and cause pressure to exert against the outside of the foundation, and you'll see a horizontal crack across your wall that'll begin to expand as time goes on. The more freezing occurs, and so on and so forth. So winter is a very destructive time for foundations. It can just wreak havoc, and if you've already got a cracked foundation, it can really be a problem. So what cracks mean, or what water and winter time means for your poured foundation is going to be, you know, the same types of pressure, same hydrostatic pressure pushing on the walls, freezing pressure pushing on the outside of the walls. And it's not as bad for poured concrete as it is for concrete blocks, for example. Concrete blocks, you know, all of the blocks are put together or held together per se by the mortar that's in between the blocks. Mortar is not a glue by any means. It's a leveling agent. It's what holds the one block on top of another block level so that you can build a house once you build your block wall. And the problem with it is that because there's no glue characteristic that's really occurred there, or no bond that's occurred between the blocks because of the mortar, you end up with the ability for that wall to be pushed fairly easy with the amount of pressure that can be exerted. You got to remember, when water fills up on the outside of your foundation, it creates extreme amounts of pressure. Just like if you dive into a pool and swim down to the deep end, 10, 12 feet, whatever it is, you feel your ears popping because of the pressure of the water weight. Well, it's the same scenario when you've got water built up on the outside of your foundation. The farther down or deeper that water is, the more pressure that's exerted, and that's what causes most of the time your cracks in your foundations, concrete blocks especially. And those are the things you want to pay attention to, especially during a season like we're having this year. We're having lots of precipitation, a lot of rain that's occurring, and then we have freezing conditions that occur, and so you put moisture in against the foundation and then you freeze it and thaw it and freeze it and thaw it. You're going to end up with this kind of a problem where it's constantly pushing and then releasing and pushing and then releasing against the foundation walls, and that's where your cracks are going to occur. You're going to find new cracks occurring. You're going to see existing cracks get bigger. A great way to test to see whether or not a crack is moving in your foundation is if you can take a coin, like a dime or a nickel or whatever, and put it in the crack and see how easily it fits inside. Come back down a month later this year and see what happens. If you can put that same one in there, you can put 2 dimes in maybe, or 2 nickels, then you know the crack has gotten bigger and it's time to really start considering what you need to do to repair your foundation. So these are things to be considering. Freeze line cracks we went over already. For existing cracks, when you've got existing cracks, obviously the wall is already weakened. It's already had the initial crack occur. It does not have the ability to hold back the pressure like it did when it was a brand new foundation. So it's going to start degrading, and it's going to start getting worse and worse and worse. And there's never, I mean, the phrase "an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure" plays big time here with this type of situation when we've got this type of weather. So the idea behind having a leaky basement, it's a hassle having the water come in, and you know, a lot of times, most people, 99% of the time, are not going to really pay attention to their leaky basement until they have springtime, summertime, you know, rains and things like that when the water's real prevalent. And everybody pays attention to how much water comes in their basement, and that's what you can see. But that's not so much the water that we're concerned about. The water we're concerned about is the water that you can't see. It's the water that's trapped inside your wall, the water that's outside the walls. The water that gets inside your basement is generally maybe 5 to 10% of the total amount of water that's out there. And it always starts out small and gets bigger. So it's a gamble. The longer you wait, obviously the more expensive it gets to fix, because there's damage that's occurring that it just keeps piling on top of the problems, and you end up with an issue where, it would have cost X number of dollars to fix it back here, but now you would have let it go this far. There's more things that need to be done. There's a higher risk involvement when you're going to fix it, and so insurance levels need to be high and everything else. It's always better to take care of something when you first see it happening rather than waiting and procrastinating. Procrastination never ever helps any situation. So an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I want to take the time to thank you for watching the video. I hope this was helpful. We'll have more videos on soon. If you have questions or if you have issues that you would like to learn more about, post them on our site and I'll take a look at them, and I'll give you a response via video or a message on there, whatever the case is. So if you have questions and you don't want to make a phone call and you don't want to have somebody come out to your house for whatever reason, post something on Facebook here and we'll get back and forth with videos and that type of thing. All right? Thanks for watching and have a great day.